In today's episode, we're going to talk about why so many creative people struggle to make money. This audio recording includes subtitles, so you can follow along more mindfully and absorb the concepts at your own pace. Why does this people's having a hard time to earn money? And no, it's not because they're untalented, it's not because they're lazy, and it's definitely not because the world doesn't appreciate creativity. The truth is much more uncomfortable than that. Because if you've spent any time around artists, musicians, writers, filmmakers, designers, photographers, or creators of any kind, you've probably noticed something strange. Some of the most talented people you know are broke. Meanwhile, people with half their talent seem to be making a living, sometimes a very good living. And that creates a painful question. If talent matters so much, why doesn't talent seem to pay? Why do so many creative people spend years working on projects nobody sees? Why do they constantly feel stuck between making what they love and making enough money to survive? And why does it feel like the harder they try, the further away success gets? Because underneath all of this is a psychological pattern that almost nobody talks about. A pattern that quietly sabotages creative people long before money ever enters the picture. And if you understand it, you'll understand why so many creators struggle financially despite having incredible potential. When we're young, creativity feels magical. You draw because it's fun. You write because you enjoy it. You make videos because you're excited. Nobody is thinking about revenue. Nobody is thinking about clients. Nobody is thinking about business. The reward is the activity itself. And that's important. Because creativity is one of the few things humans naturally do for its own sake. A child doesn't ask whether their drawing will go viral, they just draw. But as we get older, reality begins to enter the room. Bills appear, responsibilities appear, deadlines appear, and suddenly creativity isn't just something you love, it's something you hope can support your life. And that's where the conflict begins. Because the mindset that makes someone a great artist is often completely different from the mindset required to make money. Think about what creativity rewards. Creativity rewards exploration, experimentation, curiosity, self-expression. It rewards asking questions, trying unusual things, breaking rules, going deeper into ideas that fascinate you. But money operates differently. Money rewards solving problems, providing value, understanding markets, understanding people, consistency, reliability, communication. And many creative people unconsciously treat these things as enemies. They believe business corrupts art, marketing ruins authenticity, selling feels manipulative, money feels dirty. So they build an invisible wall between creativity and commerce. They become artists, but refuse to become professionals. And that distinction matters more than most people realize. Because here's something painful. The world doesn't pay you for effort. It doesn't pay you for passion. It doesn't even pay you for talent. The world pays for value. And value only exists when another person experiences it. You can spend 6 months creating a masterpiece, but if nobody sees it, the market doesn't know it exists. And many creative people secretly believe that quality should automatically get attention, that if the work is good enough, people will find it, that talent eventually rises to the top. But reality doesn't work that way. The best product doesn't always win. The most visible product often does. And for creators, this feels deeply unfair, because it is. But fairness has never been the system. Visibility is. This creates a psychological trap. Instead of learning marketing, creators double down on creating. Instead of learning sales, they perfect their craft. Instead of understanding audiences, they keep tweaking details nobody notices. Because improving the craft feels safe. Selling feels vulnerable. And that's where fear enters the picture. Most creative people aren't actually afraid of failure. They're afraid of exposure. There's a difference. Failure means something didn't work. Exposure means people can judge you. Exposure means posting the video, sending the portfolio, pitching the client, publishing the book, showing the painting, launching the business. And suddenly, the thing that lived safely inside your head becomes visible to the world. Now people can reject it, criticize it, ignore it, laugh at it. And that possibility is terrifying. So what do many creators do? They stay busy preparing. They keep improving, keep learning, keep researching, keep planning, keep refining. They tell themselves they're getting ready, but sometimes preparation becomes a hiding place. This is why some people spend years becoming better without ever becoming successful, because improvement feels productive, but visibility creates opportunity, and those aren't always the same thing. A creator might spend 3 years improving their editing skills. Meanwhile, someone with less skill posts every day, builds relationships, learns marketing, learns audience psychology, learns storytelling, and eventually earns 10 times more. Not because they're better, because they're visible. And this is where another problem appears: perfectionism. Creative people often wear perfectionism like a badge of honor. They think it proves they care, that it proves they have standards. But perfectionism is rarely about excellence, it's usually about fear. Because if the work is never finished, it can never be judged. If the project is always being improved, it never has to face reality. Perfectionism sounds productive, but often it's just procrastination wearing expensive clothes. And unfortunately, perfectionism is one of the most expensive habits a creator can have, because money flows toward finished work, not perfect work, finished work. Then something even more dangerous happens. The creator begins comparing themselves to everyone else, and social media accelerates this process. Every day they see the artist making 6 figures, the YouTuber getting millions of views, the designer landing dream clients, the filmmaker traveling the world, the entrepreneur building a brand. And slowly, creativity stops feeling exciting. It starts feeling inadequate. Now, every project becomes evidence. Evidence that they're behind. Evidence that they're failing. Evidence that everyone else figured something out. And when creativity becomes tied to self-worth, every setback feels personal. Every rejection feels like proof that you're not enough. Every slow month feels like proof you're falling behind. And eventually, the emotional weight becomes overwhelming. At this point, many creators develop a dangerous belief. If I'm truly talented, success should happen naturally. It's understandable, but it's also destructive, because it turns success into a test of identity. Now, if the business struggles, it must mean you're not talented. If the audience doesn't grow, it must mean you're not good enough. If clients don't respond, it must mean your work isn't valuable. But none of those conclusions are necessarily true. Business is a skill. Marketing is a skill. Communication is a skill. Sales is a skill. Networking is a skill. Audience building is a skill. And skills can be learned. Yet many creators treat these areas as personality traits. Either you have them or you don't, so they never develop them. This is where creative burnout often begins, not from working too much, but from carrying the wrong expectations. They expect creativity alone to solve every problem, to provide meaning, income, purpose, identity, validation, recognition, fulfillment, and that's too much weight for any single thing to carry. Eventually, creativity collapses under the pressure. The thing that once brought joy now brings anxiety. The thing that once felt free now feels like survival. And many creators mistake this feeling for losing their passion. But usually, they haven't lost their passion. They've lost their relationship with it. So how do we fix this? The first step is understanding that being creative and being professional are not opposites. You can love your craft and still learn business. You can care about art and still care about money. You can create meaningful work and still market it. These things are not enemies. They're partners. In fact, one often depends on the other. Because money doesn't destroy creativity. Money gives creativity room to breathe. It gives you time, freedom, resources, options, the ability to keep creating. The second step is letting go of the fantasy that talent is enough. Talent matters. Of course it does. But talent is only one piece of the puzzle. And often it's not even the most important piece. Consistency matters. Communication matters. Visibility matters. Relationships matter. The ability to solve problems matters. The ability to understand people matters. And when you start viewing creativity through that lens, everything changes. The goal isn't to become a better artist. The goal is to become a creator who understands people. Because people are the bridge between creativity and income. The more you understand what they need, the easier it becomes to provide value, and the easier it becomes to earn. Finally, and perhaps most importantly, you have to stop waiting for confidence. Most creators believe confidence comes before action, but confidence comes from action. You post first, then confidence grows. You pitch first, then confidence grows. You sell first, then confidence grows. You show your work first, then confidence grows. The confidence you've been waiting for is hiding on the other side of the thing you're avoiding. So if you're a creative person who's struggling financially, maybe the problem isn't your talent. Maybe it isn't the algorithm. Maybe it isn't the market. Maybe you've spent years mastering creation while avoiding visibility. Maybe you've spent years improving your craft while neglecting the skills that connect that craft to other people. And if that's true, there's good news. Because that means you're not stuck, you're not broken, and you're not doomed to fail. It simply means there's another skill waiting to be learned. One that creative people often ignore. The skill of sharing what you create with the world. Because the goal was never to be the most talented person in the room. The goal was to create something valuable enough that people couldn't ignore it. And once you understand that, making money stops feeling like a betrayal of creativity. It becomes the thing that allows creativity to survive. If this resonated with you, leave a comment and let me know which part stood out the most. And remember, the world doesn't reward hidden talent. It rewards talent that shows up. Thanks for listening.